It is 3 a.m. The house is completely quiet, and then you hear it. Scratch, scratch, scratch. You open your eyes in the dark, and there is your cat in the corner, digging at their neck with their back leg, over and over, until you hear that little thud of them falling sideways and then starting all over again. I know exactly how helpless it feels to lie there and listen to your cat tear at their own skin, unable to make it stop. And I know how frustrating it is to spend $80 on a tiny bottle of chemical spot treatment, or hundreds of dollars at the vet for steroid shots and allergy pills that quiet the itching for a week or two before it comes roaring right back, worse than before. But what if I told you that you do not need those expensive pills, and you do not need those harsh, toxic chemicals to give your cat real, lasting relief? What if I told you that the secret to calm, healthy, itch-free skin is sitting right now inside your kitchen pantry and your refrigerator? If you saw the thumbnail of this video, you saw the promise. Today, I am going to show you exactly how one simple kitchen trick can stop the scratching, soothe the angry skin, and heal the real problem from the inside out. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In my years as a holistic-leaning veterinarian, skin problems and obsessive scratching are, without a doubt, one of the most common things cat parents come to me about. We are taught to reach for the same tools every time: a spot-on chemical, a steroid injection, a pill to shut the immune system down. But as a holistic-leaning vet, I do not believe in silencing the alarm and calling it a cure. I believe in finding the root cause and fixing it. So today, we are doing a complete masterclass on stopping your cat's itching for good, from the outside in and the inside out. Grab a notebook and a pen, because I am going to walk you through exactly what is really causing the scratching, the one kitchen trick that changes everything, and the simple daily habits that build calm, healthy skin that stays that way. Before we get to the trick, I need you to understand the big mistake almost every cat parent makes. When a cat will not stop scratching, most people assume it is fleas, and they run out and buy a chemical collar or a spot-on treatment. And listen, sometimes it is fleas, and we will absolutely deal with that. But 9 times out of 10, when the fleas are gone and the scratching continues, the owner is treating completely the wrong problem. Here is the truth your cat cannot tell you. Cats are not built to eat dry, starchy food. In the wild, a cat's whole diet is meat and moisture. But look at what is in most bags of dry kibble on the shelf: corn, wheat, rice, potato, peas, tapioca. Those cheap carbohydrates are used to hold the little crunchy pieces together. And the moment your cat eats them, their body breaks those starches down into sugar. You are not feeding your cat sugar on purpose, but every single day, that dry food is flooding their little body with it. And here is why that matters for the scratching. Your cat's gut is home to trillions of tiny organisms, good bacteria, and yeast, all living in a delicate balance. When you pour in all that sugar day after day, the yeast wakes up and feasts. It multiplies out of control. And when the yeast takes over, the lining of the gut becomes inflamed and leaky, and the immune system panics. It goes into a permanent state of high alert, overreacting to normal things like dust and pollen, and pushing all of that inflammation out through the largest organ your cat has, which is their skin. That is why the scratching never truly stops with a pill. The pill just puts a piece of tape over the warning light. The engine is still broken underneath. Let me tell you about a cat that walked into my clinic because this story sits with me. A woman came in one afternoon, and she was almost in tears carrying a beautiful gray cat who had scratched the fur off the entire back of his neck. It was raw and pink and heartbreaking. She told me she had spent nearly 2 years on allergy medication, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and every time the pill wore off, the scratching came back angrier than before. She was convinced her cat was allergic to something in the house and that she had failed him. So I lifted his fur, took a tiny swab of the irritated skin, and put it under the microscope. And I turned the screen around so she could see it herself. It was not an allergy to her carpet or her curtains. It was a sea of yeast swimming across the slide. That cat did not need another pill to shut his immune system down. He needed the source of that yeast pulled out from under him. We changed almost nothing dramatic. We soothed the skin, we cleaned up the gut, And within a few weeks, that raw patch had grown back soft gray fur. She cried again in my office, but this time for a very different reason. So let me show you how we actually fix it. And this is the one kitchen trick I promised you in the title. Go to your refrigerator or your pantry and grab organic, cold-pressed, unrefined coconut oil. This is nature's quiet miracle for an itchy cat, and it works two ways at once, which is exactly why it is the trick I reach for first. Coconut oil is packed with something called lauric acid, which is a powerful natural antibacterial and antifungal. Used on the outside, it goes to work on the exact yeast and bacteria that are driving the itch. Used on the inside, in tiny amounts, it helps calm the gut and starve the overgrowth that started this whole mess. Let me show you the outside first because this is the immediate relief part. When a cat has been scratching, their skin is quite literally on fire. It is hot, inflamed, and covered in tiny tears from their claws dragging across it, over and over. If you part the fur and see red, angry, weeping patches, especially on the neck, the base of the tail, or the belly, take a very small scoop of solid coconut oil onto your fingertip, warm it for a second until it melts, and gently massage it right onto that raw skin. It cools the burning instantly. It forms a soft protective barrier, so dirt and bacteria cannot get in. And it quietly kills the surface yeast that is causing all that redness. And here is the beautiful part for cat owners. If your cat licks it off, which they will, that is perfectly fine. It is completely safe and even nourishing for them. Now, for a cat, the way you use the inside dose matters, because cats are far more sensitive than dogs and far more stubborn about new foods. You do not dump a spoonful into their bowl. You start with a truly tiny amount, no more than a quarter of a teaspoon for an average cat, mixed thoroughly into their wet food, just a few times a week to begin with. Too much oil too fast will give a cat a very upset stomach, so slow and gentle is the entire game here. That little daily dose works from the inside to help push the yeast back into balance, so you are healing the source at the same time you are soothing the surface. That is the whole trick. One humble jar of coconut oil, working on both ends of the problem. And I want you to understand why this works so well, because when you understand it, you will trust it. Think about what that lauric acid actually does. Yeast and unfriendly bacteria are protected by a fatty outer wall, a little fortress that keeps them alive. Lauric acid has the almost magical ability to slip into that wall and break it apart, so the organism cannot hold itself together anymore. That is why it works on the surface of the skin, and it is a big part of why a tiny bit taken internally helps calm the overgrowth in the gut too. You are not masking the itch. You are quietly dismantling the very thing that causes it. And unlike a chemical spot-on, there is nothing toxic entering your cat's bloodstream to do it. It is simply food, doing what food is supposed to do. There is one more small tip that makes a real difference with cats specifically. When you apply the coconut oil to the skin, do it right before a meal, or right before their favorite nap spot in the sun. A cat that is about to eat or about to sleep is far less likely to immediately lick it all off, which gives the oil those few precious minutes to actually sink in and go to work. Little details like that are the difference between something that sort of helps and something that truly changes your cat's life. But I want to give you the complete masterclass, so let me hand you a few more kitchen tools to round this out, because coconut oil is the star, but a few supporting players make it far more powerful. The first is for that unmistakable smell. If you lift your cat's paw or get close to a scratched-up patch of skin, and you catch a musty corn chip old cheese kind of smell, I need you to hear me clearly. That is not just cat smell. That is the scent of a yeast infection. That yeast is called Malassezia, and it thrives in warm, damp folds of skin. To fight it on the surface, we use apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar shifts the pH of the skin and makes it acidic, and yeast simply cannot survive in an acidic environment. You take a small bowl and mix half apple cider vinegar with half warm water. Never, ever use it straight on a cat. Dip a cotton ball into that mixture and very gently dab it onto the smelly, itchy patches, or wipe it along the base of the tail. Let it air dry. But please hear this warning, because it matters more with cats than almost anything else. Do not use apple cider vinegar anywhere your cat has scratched the skin, open, raw, or bleeding. Vinegar is an acid, and on an open wound it will sting horribly, and a cat will never trust you near them again. Only ever use it on skin that is intact, smelly, and itchy, never on a raw sore. And whatever you do, keep it away from their face and eyes. For a cat whose whole body is irritated, flaky, and miserable, there is one more gentle rescue in your pantry, though I will be honest with you, this one takes a patient cat. Plain, unsweetened breakfast oats, ground in a blender into a fine, powdery dust, become what we call colloidal oatmeal. If your cat is one of the rare ones who tolerates water, a shallow, lukewarm soak with that oatmeal dust stirred in until the water turns milky will pull the heat and inflammation right out of their skin. The water must be lukewarm to cool, never warm, because heat draws blood to the surface and makes the itching far worse. Most cats, of course, will not stand for a bath. So the gentler version is to make a thick oatmeal paste with a little cool water and dab it directly onto the worst patches for a few minutes before wiping it away. Either way, you will see a calmer, more comfortable cat who finally settles down to sleep. Now, let me be a responsible vet and deal with the fleas properly, because sometimes they truly are part of the picture. A single flea bite, for a sensitive cat, can set off days of frantic scratching. But instead of reaching straight for the harsh chemical spot on, which is a potent neurotoxin absorbed right into your cat's bloodstream, we can make your cat a far less appealing target the natural way. A tiny pinch of pure brewer's yeast sprinkled over their food adds a wave of B vitamins that slowly work their way out through the skin, and to a flea, that suddenly makes your cat taste and smell bitter and unwelcome. Please note, that is brewer's yeast, the supplement, which is very different from the yeast overgrowth we have been fighting, so introduce it slowly and in tiny amounts, and stop if your cat's itching worsens, because a small number of cats are sensitive to it. And here is the part almost everyone forgets. A huge amount of flea trouble is not on the cat at all, it is in the home. Fleas lay their eggs in your carpet, your bedding, the cracks in the floor. So while you are soothing your cat, wash their bedding in hot water every few days and vacuum thoroughly, especially the quiet corners where your cat likes to rest. You break the cycle far faster by fighting it in both places at once. Now, before we go inside to the gut, I have to mention one thing that is unique to cats, something you will almost never hear about with dogs. Sometimes a cat scratches and overgrooms not only because of yeast, but because of stress. Cats are deeply sensitive creatures, and when they feel anxious, they soothe themselves by licking and grooming, sometimes so much that they pull their own fur out in patches, especially along the belly and the inner legs. If you have already cleaned up the skin and the gut and you still see bald patches with no redness underneath, ask yourself gently, has anything changed in your cat's world? A new pet? A move? A new baby? A change in the household? Even a dirty or relocated litter box can be enough. Cats crave routine and calm. Sometimes the kindest medicine is more quiet time, a predictable feeding schedule, a safe high perch to watch the world from, and a clean, private litter box in a peaceful corner. Never underestimate how much a cat's skin reflects the state of their little mind. A calm cat is very often a cat that stops scratching. We have soothed the outside and we have dealt with the bugs. Now we come to the part that makes all of it last, because if we do not fix the inside, the scratching will simply come back next month. My friends, if your cat is chronically itchy, I need you to hold on to this one biological truth. Most itching does not start on the skin, it starts in the gut. So to truly cure it, we have to rebuild the gut. The easiest way to do that is to put good bacteria back in, and to gently starve the yeast of the sugar that has been feeding it. To rebuild the good bacteria, add the tiniest spoonful of plain, unsweetened yogurt or milk kefir to their wet food. These are loaded with living probiotics that lay down a protective layer of healthy bacteria in the gut, calm that overreacting immune system, and quiet the inflammation that has been pouring out through the skin. But please read the label first, because this is a matter of life and death. You are hunting for one deadly ingredient called xylitol, which is sometimes hidden under the name birch sugar. It is a sweetener found in many sugar-free and diet products, and even a microscopic amount can destroy your cat's liver. Only ever buy 100% plain, unsweetened yogurt, or kefir, with no sweeteners of any kind. And if your cat happens to be lactose intolerant, skip the dairy entirely and use a high-quality pet-specific probiotic powder from your vet instead. Now, to starve the yeast, we have to take away its favorite food, which is that sugar hiding in the dry kibble. You do not have to overhaul everything overnight, but start shifting your cat toward more wet food and higher quality meals where real meat is the first ingredient, not corn or wheat or potato. Cats are meat eaters through and through, and the closer their food gets to that, the less sugar there is for the yeast to feast on. As that food source dries up, the overgrowth begins to die back, and the skin finally gets its chance to heal. And here is a quiet bonus that comes with moving toward wet food, one that matters enormously for a cat. In the wild, a cat gets most of its water from the moisture in its prey. Dry kibble contains almost none, which means a cat raised on dry food alone lives in a state of gentle, constant dehydration, and dry, thirsty skin is itchy, flaky skin. When you add more moisture-rich wet food to the bowl, you are hydrating your cat's skin from the inside, plumping it up and helping that protective barrier stay strong and supple. So the very same change that starves the yeast also gives you softer, calmer, better hydrated skin. It is one small shift that quietly solves two problems at once, which is exactly the kind of thing I love to share with you. And the last piece of the puzzle is building skin so healthy that it simply does not itch anymore. Every few weeks, your cat's body replaces its entire outer layer of skin, which means every few weeks you get a fresh chance to build them a stronger, calmer, more resilient coat. But skin is built from fats, and if all your cat eats is dry food from a bag that has been open on the shelf for a month, the healthy fats in it have long since oxidized and gone useless. So we add them back. A little mashed sardine, packed in pure water with no salt, mixed into their food once or twice a week, delivers a powerful dose of omega-3 fatty acids, nature's own anti-inflammatory. Most cats adore fish, so this is usually the easiest win of all. And if your cat turns their nose up at sardines, a plain, unseasoned bit of cooked egg does a similar job of feeding that healthy skin. Now I know I have handed you a lot today. Coconut oil, apple cider vinegar, oatmeal, brewer's yeast, yogurt, sardines. And I can already picture you wanting to pile all of it into your cat's bowl tonight. Please do not. Here is the golden rule of holistic care. If you dump 6 rich new things into your cat's dish at once, I promise you will be cleaning up a very unhappy stomach by morning, and your cat will refuse the bowl entirely. Cats are sensitive, and they are cautious, and their trust is earned slowly. So here is your simple plan. Start with just the one trick, the coconut oil, gently on the skin and a tiny bit in the food. Give it a week. Then and only then, rotate in one more helper. Maybe a little yogurt for the gut, or a mashed sardine for the skin. Slow and steady is not just kinder, it is what actually works with a cat. Dealing with an itchy, scratching cat is one of the hardest, most helpless feeling parts of loving one of these animals, because they cannot tell us where it hurts. But by choosing to educate yourself, by looking past the quick chemical fix and healing your cat from the inside out, you are proving just how deeply you love them. Stay consistent with this simple plan, and you will watch your restless, scratching, miserable cat slowly settle into a calm, comfortable, contented little creature who finally sleeps through the night. If this masterclass gave you hope today, please do me one small favor and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that this kind of safe, holistic advice is worth sharing, and it helps this channel reach and protect so many more cats. And make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next one. Give your sweet, beautiful cat a gentle, itch-free scratch behind the ears from me tonight. Stay safe, and always trust your instincts.